Thank you, Ryan, for being here. Ryan started his career in public service as a Syracuse city councilor at 2000 in 2005 after being elected at the age of 25. He is reelected in 2007 for a second term and quickly earned a reputation as bipartisan problem solver. Upon taking office as county executive, Ryan McMahon has placed a focus on three main initiatives: poverty, infrastructure, and economic development. Please welcome Onondaga County Executive Ryan McMahon. Thank you, Ryan, for being
Thanks.
here and taking time.
And good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining in. And it's actually 1 year this week from the Micron announcement that we had, which was really, it's crazy to think about that. It's been a year. And there's been a lot of things going on, obviously. Let me give you some updates, and then hopefully based off the updates, I'll take questions. Those are always the most important things to do. But the IDA application came in, and the IDA board has been going through the process. The county IDA has taken lead agency in this process, which is an important role because we'll be the lead agent for all the environmental reviews, and those are happening now both at the federal and state level. So there's a lot of studies, a lot of reports being done. Remember, we had White Pine was a shovel-ready mega site, and we had an environmental review done, but we really based it off the Intel project because we worked with Intel longer than even Micron. And so we have a good basis of studies that are already complete, but now we have to take the specific information related to the Micron project and enhance those studies. And so that is being undertaken as we speak. On the site, in the next few weeks, we will be clearing homes. We have worked with Habitat for Humanity to kind of repurpose many of the windows and the doors and different things in the homes that will go into new properties and or be given to housing insecure individuals. But now we got to knock some of the other ones down. There still will be some properties there because we have deals with some of the homeowners that they can stay in for certain periods of time. And we haven't pushed those yet, but many of the properties will be coming down. And then we could potentially see some light clearing on the site as well as we move into 2024, which is right around the corner, where when the reviews are done, likely in the first quarter, both at the state and federal level, then we're going to really start to see construction. And we'll start to see the piles in the concrete with that. So that's going on. For Micron, the biggest thing right now is they have their CHIPS application in. And we have met with the CHIPS office to explain the importance of the impact and the comprehensive approach Micron's taking to be community partners and try to address barriers to employment so that they can help develop a workforce here in an inclusive way. And they have, obviously they're going to ask for a lot of money as part of that process for our project, which is the largest in the country. And certainly right now they are already starting to undergo a new fab in Boise as well. So they should probably know how much they're going to receive this fall. Maybe not October, more likely probably end of November. And that's important because if the right number comes, that could expedite some of the, I wouldn't say our first fab, but I would say the schedule for how quickly they go once the first fab is complete into the second fab. So really excited to see kind of where this lands. The federal government is likely to award the big projects first, and then from there look at the smaller projects and potentially some supply chain projects for CHIPS funding. Part of this has been also funding some of these tech hub corridors. We teamed up with Rochester and Buffalo for a corridor to potentially receive some tech hub funding. We did that because if we didn't, we probably wouldn't have gotten anything, quite frankly, because of the funding that Micron's going to receive. So we had to kind of diversify geography and make it interesting, but we're kind of driving that application. But also our university consortium did receive some DoD funding as well. And we do expect Albany Nano to receive some serious funding as part of this process as well. So these are all good things for the ecosystem in New York State, specifically in upstate New York. In a week or two, our part of our incentive package to Micron related to workforce development was that we were going to create a clean room at OCC so that we could train the technicians for Micron and their supply chain and other manufacturers, quite frankly. And so we gave $5 million. Micron then matched it. And the design for that is going to be unveiled in the next week or so here at OCC. So we're excited for that. Micron will be in town for that. They'll be in town. I think that's the week of the 18th. I don't know what that is. But that Micron will be in town that week. Usually when they come in, it's a slew of activity with meeting with various community partners. But we will, that will be the kind of headline event for that week as the design is done and then construction will take place shortly here as well. And there already is, so everyone knows, there already is certifications being given at OCC right now for these technician jobs. So we're really excited about that. Related to the county budget, I put the county budget forward. Legislature has it, looks pretty good. You know, they didn't really mess around with any of our stuff, which we always like. But part of this, outside of the 15% tax cut to the county rate, which we gave back $17 million worth of assessment growth. We gave all that back. So all the assessment growth that we've seen countywide, we gave it back to the taxpayer. And then we cut our county levy $9 million, which quite frankly hasn't happened in modern time. So we gave back $26 million in relief to the public. For a $200,000 house, it's about $130 on your county bill. So that's real money. And if you look at the tax bill, you'll see that the county bill is likely the lowest. When you compare it to your town, your village, and/or certainly your school district's the highest. So you know, that's something that we're proud of. Overall, over the last 2 years, we've cut the county tax rate 26%. And so that's a big piece of it. But the other big piece of what we're doing is we have another $1 million for planning grants. Remember, we gave our countywide comprehensive plan is done. We then had $1 million to start up comprehensive plans for towns and villages specifically. Cicero, Clay, Van Buren all received funding. And now we're backing that up with another $1 million so that all these communities can update their plans, update their zoning, have community conversations with their residents about where they want to fit in with these opportunities. Also give you an update. You'll recall, obviously, there's a really interesting article in the paper this morning about what you're dealing with related to inventory. Your star president was quoted in it, Nancy Quigg. The OCHIPS program that we put forward, the idea being that we recognize that there's projects that were in the pipeline that had rates at one point. Their rates are higher. Infrastructure costs of the projects have gone up. So we created these grants to get more units online. So far, we've awarded $1.7 million out of a $10 million pot of money, and that's created 393 units of inventory, market rate, affordable, some senior, mixed income, mixed use. We're even looking at single family development if it's unique to a need. We gave one award for ranch housing with Suga. And so these are all things that we're looking at, and we continue. It's a rolling application process, right? We have $10 million. The idea that we create more inventory to help free up existing housing inventory, single family inventory, but also to help stabilize rental prices as well, as certainly the prices are going up related to sales, but also for renters as well. Also related to, I would just say activity in the marketplace. I met with a couple more prominent developers, national developers that have a huge wherewithal. The interest nationally is in this marketplace. And those meetings continue to occur. And from a supply chain standpoint, a big piece of our strategy is to get these companies to co-locate with Micron. Some of the larger names are taking this very seriously. We've set up site visits for the end of the year and going into 2024 with some of these large companies. So 2024 will be a year where the construction is going to start, and then you're going to start seeing these supply chain companies start to ink deals and really look at where they're going to go, which will probably clarify some of the speculative real estate out and around the site, how that all gets put together. So a lot of exciting things going on. The momentum is you can feel it every day. We still got some naysayers out there. We get it, but we love proving naysayers wrong.
Okay, I guess, would there be any questions at all? Danielle could look at the chat and see if there are any questions that you could recite or ask.
There are not any questions at this moment. If anybody would like to ask any, put them in the chat now, please.
Okay, I'll bring up a few things. I'm just stuff that I'm reading around. There's a real shortage of teachers in a lot of areas. And I see that out west, they have put together building homes close to the schools and having teachers, giving the ability for teachers to rent the properties at a lower rate, maybe for a year or two. And then they would give them the ability to save money and maybe purchase a house. Such a great concept to sort of draw teachers. Now they have a waiting list for teachers coming to, I think it's Colorado area, I'm not sure, but it's happening at different areas. Have you heard anything at all like that, Ryan?
I haven't for teachers. I know one of the things we did, Nancy, for nurses is we had some kind of pandemic emergency funds available still. And we created a scholarship for nurses locally with our local institutions. And over 130 people took advantage of it locally in our local institutions. So that's good because we capture that money and that spending here, but they then are going to work in some of our local hospitals when they're completed. And so we did that, a 2-year scholarship in partnership with the Allen Foundation. And what will happen is it's our belief that the private sector is going to eventually get this right, and they're going to have to take the ball from here. But anything we could do to temporarily do that. So we're doing that. I do think the land bank's a tool, right, to look at some of these programs, with housing really being such an issue. And, quite frankly, a lot of people, I'll weave this in real quick because a lot of people ask me the questions, but related to the migrant issue, part of the main reasons why we have an emergency order is because we don't have the housing inventory to really deal with that issue whatsoever. Outside of all the other issues, we don't have good housing to put these people, and we already have refugee commitments to Afghanistan refugees and Ukrainian refugees, Sudanese. So, that's something that when we're thinking about all these things, housing's impacting not just buyers and sellers, but various areas in our local economy. But I'm interested. Isabel's right here writing notes. I'm interested in learning more about that program.
I think it just sounded great. I know with the land bank too, there's a moratorium now on foreclosures because of what's happening in that foreclosure lawsuit. And so we're not getting any housing right now.
Inventory,
No, it's just been awful. It's just been so slow. But once that does get settled, we think that it'll be settled and maybe we'll get more. Danielle, any questions?
Yes, we do have a couple now. So the first one is, are grants limited to new housing that is reasonably priced? Is there a cap on the price of the homes being built? I heard mention only single-family homes and rental units. Is there still an emphasis on higher density residential development?
Yeah, no. So most of the grants have gone to, they don't go to single family homes. There's only one project that, because they're building ranches. The most of them go to market rate, affordable senior, mixed income or mixed use properties, and they can be new construction. Many of them are adaptive reuse projects. And so let me think of a couple. One of them, like a senior housing project in Marcellus, Main Street driven project. We had where we announced our latest round was on James Street in Eastwood. The old VFW, Steve Skinner, is turning that into 28 market rate apartments, right? Absolutely fantastic project. The old bread factory in the city of Syracuse, some market rate, some affordable units. One of the things we may really end up doing is looking to really incentivize even more senior apartments or senior communities. To free up inventory, seniors need good places to live in their own communities. And this, you've probably heard me say this, but it's our belief, and we think we're right, that the single family boom for construction won't happen until 2025 when Micron employees start to be hired. And so, because of just the pricing of houses, right? $500,000 minimum. And so, to do that, to free up inventory, we really need to give seniors quality options to live in the communities that they build. And they've for all these years. And so we may incentivize senior quality senior, not assisted living properties, quality senior projects where there's amenities, where there's green space, walkable designing. We may incentivize that more because that will free up inventory.
Thank you. Is Micron still a letter of intent, or have they signed?
Well, they have already put in the county IDA application and paid millions of dollars in IDA fees. So, there's nothing legally that, a company can't change their mind, but certainly they probably spent close to $100 million in Central New York at this point. And if you follow just the world, why this is all happening because the majority of semiconductor microchips are made in Taiwan, and the sovereignty of that country is being threatened on a daily basis by China. And so, when you think about supply chain and you think about inflation, if something were ever to happen there and the world did not diversify where these chips are made, you would see inflation at record levels, much worse than it is today. And so Micron, being the leader in memory technology, their competition is two companies specifically that are controlled by the Chinese Communist Party. And so when you look at the CCP, there's a reason they targeted Micron with all this CHIPS Act stuff. They didn't target Intel or TSMC. They targeted Micron because memory technology is what's going to drive the future in AI and 5G, and Micron's the leader. So it's in Micron's interest to diversify as quick as they can, and that's why they're moving very quickly with these two domestic projects, ours being the largest in the country's history.
Boy.
Thank you. Next question. How will the county and Micron deal with communities that are anti-development so that we get more regionally beneficial outcomes?
Yeah, I think everybody's kind of, I would say many of you, I see some of you, many of you have been on planning boards. Like I get it. I think I think the psychology of what's happening is helping a little bit with that. I think some towns are really doing a good job of leaning into our support that we have to offer, and some are still a little bit, territorial. We've always been a bottoms-up approach administration, and that's why we're really funding these plans, because we really want these municipalities to go and have conversations with your neighbors. You can grow, and you can grow in a smart way where you're bringing value to the community without jeopardizing existing neighborhoods. And so I think that those are the important conversations that need to happen for maybe some skeptics in the various communities. But traditionally, there are some communities that are notorious for being tough to do business with. Um, from my perspective, I think everybody's getting a little bit better, with maybe the exception of one. I won't call them to the carpet, but I think overall everybody's getting better, and this planning is going to be very helpful. And those are going to be documents and roadmaps for development in those communities, which will make their jobs easier when applications come and growth comes. But if you want to grow, you got to adapt. And at some point, elected officials can't keep going back to the well, to the overtaxed taxpayer, and explain that, well, why they didn't adapt, and why certain communities are cutting taxes every year because of the tax-based growth, and they're, holding the line, or they're raising it 2% a year. So the elected officials need to adapt, and they help control the planning boards and the zoning boards.
Mm-hmm.
Next question. Assessed values are greatly out of whack. Is there anything on the horizon to incentivize townships to reassess all properties?
Well, the challenge with that, right? So if the reality is, most assessments are probably underassessed at this point. And the challenge with that is, if you do it all at once, you're going to have a lot of people upset with you. I'm glad in my role I don't control assessments, actually. But look, at some point, each town has to do things to catch up and bring parity within their own communities. I know the city does it in quadrants every year, and looks at it. I think some towns have taken that approach. But the part of the challenge is, assessments are going to go up because your greatest asset, your home, is worth more. But many people can't take advantage of that asset because they have nowhere else to move if they were going to sell. Or they were locked into a very low interest rate, and the interest rates are much higher. So the challenge is, you got this huge asset now in many cases, but you can't use it the same way that you normally potentially would because of market conditions. But why we've been cutting taxes so much is because we recognize that if your assessment goes up and we still cut your taxes, you might not actually save any money on your tax bill because you went up. So we're cognizant of this, and we do think that the towns will have to bring more parity to assessments overall.
Mm-hmm.
Last thing in the chat is more of a comment than a question, but it just says, more senior housing would be great, as it will get many more to sell, and we have people leaving our area because we need more senior places, retirement communities. Great thoughts.
Yeah, it's the one thing we're trying to get a lot of the interest from the developers is in this concept, and understanding that we might need to do more from an incentive standpoint. Maybe have a senior housing pilot to look at. But the reality is that's gonna, if the things that will help free up inventory today, it's that, right? And so maybe some market rate stuff with great amenities, people would want to downsize. And certainly we've seen that trend with downtown Syracuse living. But you're at 99.7% occupancy rates in downtown.
Amazing. It's just amazing. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Danielle.
I lied. Somebody else. There is one more question.
Good.
I'll be ending here.
What kind of plans are there for tackling the high crime and poverty-stricken areas of Syracuse with the new influx of capital from the Micron project?
Yeah, so a couple things. You look at the data, violent crime is down quite a bit. They're actually it's down 30% year over year, which is good. The crime that's not is your larcenies, and so certainly Hyundais and Kias are a target right now, and that's spread from Rochester up here. And so that's something that there's a focus in on. The reality is you can, there's legislation that was done at the state level called Raise the Age, Bail Reform. And what it has done is it's enabled a criminal class, and the criminal class is sophisticated, and they have younger people committing crimes because they're not actually getting punished. There's no accountability. So I was on the call yesterday with the governor and saying, you need to, in your budget, look at reforms to raise the age, or else we're going to continue to see 14, 15, and 16-year-olds stealing and doing things and then getting a slap on the wrist if that. But that overall, there isn't a resource issue right now. There is a workforce issue. So the reality is that law enforcement professionals, it's been hard since George Floyd. And so to recruit into these ranks is difficult. And that's something that we need to continue to do and work collaboratively on. But it's not a resource issue. And certainly with Micron and the growth, there will be more resources to go there. But, you know, public safety is on people's minds. And certainly we are going to continue to look at it from a comprehensive way, right? Public safety is, you know, when you talk about cops, that they're at the end of the cycle, you know, and so you need to make investments, preventative measures. This past week, we announced school threat assessment planning grants and for all of our school districts to do school threat assessments. We have mental health clinics in all of the schools. We have more school resource officers. You know, when you look at 911, you know, obviously we run 911, our forensic labs, right? Figuring out who the bad guys are and figuring out who the bad guys aren't, right? These are all public safety things that we invest a lot of money in addition to boots on the ground, and certainly our prosecutors as well.
Great. All set, Danielle?
No, one more came in. Can you discuss what the property value and growth went into Can you discuss what the property value and growth went to when Micron put their headquarters in Boise, Idaho?
Yeah, Boise's real estate market is skyrocketed, right? And so the challenge there is, you know, affordability is becoming a real issue, and you know, they didn't have. You know, we're lucky in a way. We're a larger community because we have more people in the game. In Boise, when that started to happen, you only had so many developers to keep up with that. But it's, you know, the property values are going to continue to go up. That's going to happen, right? And so, you know, I think overall we need to focus in on the gap between now and when all this massive hiring starts, to try to get more units online any way we can to help ease that growth curve.
Mm-hmm. All set, Danielle?
Nope. They keep coming.
This will be our last question then.
Perfect. Are realtors in the mix as far as getting feedback / planning for what's needed for housing?
Well, I do these calls, right? I do them once a month, and so I think I would say yes. And then certainly we have a development committee that we've established that meets essentially quarterly on various topics, and there's multiple realtors, multiple developers, home builders, all part of that as well. And so you know, obviously, anytime somebody has you know, questions or whatnot, they can contact us as well. But yeah, I would say that we value the work that you all do, and you're our boots on the ground, and you're our ambassadors. And so we try to empower you with information.
I also think that many of the realtors, which has been wonderful, have been going to town meetings. That's where you're getting a lot of your information too, and you should be heard. At least have your voice heard. You can always write something in the paper too, or give your comments. Ryan, I just had a question on Shoppingtown. I know there was a Town of DeWitt meeting for zoning on Shoppingtown. Can you talk about that at all?
Yeah, so the with Shoppingtown Mall, remember, different than Great Northern Mall because Benderson owns Macy's, and the old Sears property there is owned by a legacy company there. And so they have what's called reciprocal easement rights to the project, and in a way, veto power over a project. And so Benderson and this legacy company have not come to the table. And so the developer District East has gone through environmental review. Part of that review now was a zone change. And the town of DeWitt this week moved forward with that zone change, which is critical because now the county IDA can accept the environmental review, which they'll do, I believe, next week. And then we'll start eminent domain proceedings against Benderson and the legacy company from Sears. That will either force Benderson and this company to come to the table because there has been offers made to them that are fair. And if they come to the table, we'll get it through, and then that project can move forward swiftly. If not, we'll be in court probably for the next 6 to 10 months getting that worked out, but we'll get control of the property. And then the county government, which owns Shopping Town Mall, unfortunately, will then be backstopped whatever the costs are by the developer, right? So we're not going to go buy that and then the taxpayer gets stuck with that. The developer is going to pay us back that.
That sounds wonderful. Well, Ryan, we can't thank you enough for the information. It's not just about Micron, but it's about our whole county, and we love the exposure. Thank you for attending today, everyone, too. Our next meeting with Ryan will be on November 2nd, Thursday. And Ryan, thank you so much. Have a wonderful week.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.